When installing a GFCI disconnect for hot tub, it's important to consider the requirements for visibility and accessibility. The disconnect must be visible and easily accessible at all times according to the National Electrical Code. Placing the panel on the deck facing the deck would be the best way to handle the installation. This way it would be easily accessible and you wouldn't have to climb under the deck to work on it. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, contains specific guidelines for electrical installations, including those for hot tubs and spas. These guidelines are designed to ensure safety and prevent electrical hazards. For hot tub installations, the NEC addresses several key areas. Firstly, the location of the disconnect switch. Secondly, the type of wiring methods allowed. And thirdly, the grounding and bonding requirements. The disconnect switch is a critical safety component that allows you to quickly shut off power to the hot tub in case of an emergency or for maintenance. The NEC specifies that the disconnect switch must be readily accessible and within sight of the hot tub. This means that you should be able to see the disconnect switch from the hot tub without any obstructions. The purpose of this requirement is to ensure that anyone using the hot tub can quickly turn off the power if needed. The NEC also provides guidance on the type of wiring methods that are permitted for hot tub installations. Generally, you'll need to use approved conduit or cable assemblies that are suitable for wet locations and outdoor use. The wiring must be properly sized to handle the electrical load of the hot tub and protect it from physical damage. Grounding and bonding are essential for electrical safety, particularly in wet environments like hot tub areas. The NEC requires that all metal parts of the hot tub, including the equipment grounding conductor and any nearby metal structures, be properly bonded together. This helps to minimize the risk of electric shock by creating a low resistance path for fault currents to flow back to the electrical panel. In general, consult with a qualified electrician who is familiar with the NEC requirements for hot tub installations. They can help you ensure that your hot tub is installed safely and in compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. Consider these points for proper hot tub electrical safety. Firstly, ensure the disconnect is visible and accessible. Secondly, use appropriate wiring methods for wet locations. And thirdly, properly ground and bond all metal components. Now let's delve into the specific requirements related to the disconnect switch for a hot tub. The NEC mandates that a disconnect switch must be installed within sight of the hot tub and readily accessible. The term within sight typically means that the disconnect switch is visible from the hot tub without any intervening obstacles. The intent is to allow someone in or near the hot tub to quickly shut off the power in case of an emergency. The disconnect switch should be located no closer than 5 feet, or 1.524 meters from the inside wall of the hot tub, and no further than 50 feet, or 15.24 meters away. This range ensures that the disconnect is easily accessible while also providing a safe distance from the water. The disconnect switch must be clearly labeled to indicate its purpose, such as hot tub disconnect or spa disconnect. This helps to avoid confusion and ensures that anyone can quickly identify the correct switch in an emergency. The disconnect switch should be mounted in a readily accessible location, meaning that it should not be obstructed by any obstacles or require the use of tools to access. The height of the disconnect switch should be within a reasonable range, typically between 3 feet, or 0.9144 meters, and 6 feet, or 1.8288 meters above the finished floor or ground level. This allows most people to reach the switch easily without straining or bending over excessively. In addition to the disconnect switch, the NEC also requires the installation of a ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, to protect the hot tub circuit. The GFCI is a safety device that detects ground faults and quickly shuts off power to prevent electric shock. The GFCI protection should be provided for all electrical circuits serving the hot tub, including the supply circuit for the pump heater and other equipment. The GFCI device should be installed in a readily accessible location, such as at the electrical panel or at the disconnect switch. It is important to test the GFCI regularly to ensure that it is functioning properly. Most GFCI devices have a test button that you can press to simulate a ground fault and verify that the device trips as expected. Consider these additional points regarding hot tub disconnects. Firstly, the disconnect must be within sight and readily accessible. Secondly, the disconnect must be labeled clearly. Thirdly, GFCI protection is required for all hot tub circuits. And fourthly, test the GFCI regularly to ensure proper function. When selecting the location for the disconnect switch, consider the layout of your deck and the surrounding area. The goal is to find a location that meets the code requirements while also being convenient and safe for users. If possible, try to locate the disconnect switch on a wall or post that is easily accessible from the hot tub. Avoid placing the disconnect switch in a location where it could be obstructed by furniture, plants, or other items. Ensure that the area around the disconnect switch is well lit so that it can be easily seen at night. If your deck has railings or other barriers, make sure that they do not obstruct the view of the disconnect switch from the hot tub. The NEC also addresses the type of wiring methods that are permitted for hot tub installations. Generally, you'll need to use approved conduit or cable assemblies that are suitable for wet locations and outdoor use. The wiring must be properly sized to handle the electrical load of the hot tub and protect it from physical damage. For underground wiring, you'll typically need to use rigid metal conduit, or RMC, or rigid polyvinyl chloride conduit, or PVC, that is buried at the proper depth. The NEC specifies the minimum burial depth for underground wiring, which varies depending on the type of conduit and the voltage of the circuit. For above ground wiring, you can use electrical metallic tubing, or IMT, or other approved raceways to protect the conductors. The wiring must be securely supported and protected from physical damage. When running wiring through walls or floors, you'll need to use appropriate fittings and connectors to ensure a secure and watertight connection. The NEC also requires that all electrical boxes and enclosures used in hot tub installations be listed for wet locations. These boxes are designed to protect the wiring and connections from moisture and corrosion. Consider these points about wiring methods for hot tubs. Firstly, use approved conduit or cable assemblies for wet locations. Secondly, properly size the wiring for the hot tub's electrical load. Thirdly, protect the wiring from physical damage. And fourthly, use listed boxes and enclosures for wet locations. Grounding and bonding are essential for electrical safety, particularly in wet environments like hot tub areas. The NEC requires that all metal parts of the hot tub, including the equipment and any nearby metal structures, be properly bonded together. This helps to minimize the risk of electric shock by creating a low resistance path for fault currents to flow back to the electrical panel. The bonding conductor must be sized according to the NEC guidelines, which vary depending on the size of the circuit conductors. The bonding conductor should be connected to all metal parts of the hot tub, including the pump, heater, and other equipment. The bonding conductor should also be connected to any nearby metal structures such as metal fences, railings, or pipes. The NEC requires that the grounding electrode system for the hot tub be connected to the main grounding electrode system for the building. This helps to ensure that the hot tub is properly grounded and bonded to the electrical system. Consider these points about grounding and bonding. Firstly, bond all metal parts of the hot tub and nearby structures. Secondly, size the bonding conductor according to NEC guidelines. And thirdly, connect the grounding electrode system to the building's main grounding electrode system. When installing the electrical components for a hot tub, it's essential to follow the manufacturer's instructions and all applicable codes and regulations. The manufacturer's instructions provide specific guidance on how to install and wire the hot tub, including the proper size and type of wiring, the location of the disconnect switch, and the grounding and bonding requirements. The NEC provides general guidelines for electrical installations, but the manufacturer's instructions may provide more specific requirements for your particular hot tub model. It's also important to be aware of any local codes or regulations that may apply to hot tub installations in your area. These codes may have additional requirements beyond those specified in the NEC or the manufacturer's instructions. Consider these final reminders. Firstly, follow the manufacturer's instructions for installation. Secondly, comply with all applicable codes and regulations. And thirdly, consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns. By following these guidelines and working with a qualified electrician, you can ensure that your hot tub is installed safely and in compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. This will help to protect you and your family from electrical hazards and ensure that you can enjoy your hot tub for years to come. In summary, the key to a safe and compliant hot tub installation lies in understanding and adhering to the NEC requirements for disconnects, wiring methods, and grounding and bonding. Always prioritize safety and consult with qualified professionals to ensure a proper installation.